Welcome to another episode of Moon Monkey. On this episode, we'll be going into our DVD collection and reviewing David Cronenberg's A History of Violence, which was released in 2005. And there will be spoilers.
So the film starts, we see a long tracking shot of two guys who, through the course of this shot, we discover that they're criminals and murderous and very violent people. The film then cuts to Tom Stoll, who owns a small coffee shop in a kind of pleasant, small American town.
Yeah, he's got a diner.
Yeah, he owns Stoll's Diner. These two guys that we've seen at the start, they come into his shop and attempt to do a kind of armed robbery, during which he manages to kill the two guys, becomes something of a local celebrity. Then, following that, a character played by Ed Harris comes in and says that he knows Tom Stoll from before and that he's actually called Joey. And this sets off a whole chain of events where Tom's brought face to face with his past and kind of has to confront his past self. So the main character, Tom Stoll, is played by Viggo Mortensen, who I thought did a really good job.
Yeah, Viggo's very good.
Yeah, there are going to be spoilers in this thing, so we say that straight ahead.
Yeah.
Tom Stoll, played by Viggo Mortensen, and he does a good job with kind of a conflicted character, because he plays it's kind of a two-sided character in some ways, because throughout the film we discover that he is not who he says he is at the beginning. He is actually Joey Cusack, a gangster from Philadelphia. But the first part of the film, it's set up as though he is just this small town restaurant owner, a family man. Has wife and kids.
Because he only kills those two guys when they try to rob his diner. He only does that to defend his staff.
Yeah.
Like, he just wants them to leave. He does try to kind of peacefully put an end to what's happening.
Yeah.
But he's forced to
you
back.
don't really get any hint of that's what he's like before that happens.
You just think he's doing the right thing.
And even after it happens, and he says, "Oh, I did what anyone else would do," you're still kind of on his side. You think, "Oh, like there's no," because the film doesn't show you anything of his past, so you're not to know any.
You're thinking, is he really Joey? Is Ed Harris? Is Ed Harris's character just really mistaken?
Yeah.
He only has one eye. Maybe he's not seeing it correctly.
He's either confused him or, it is just like a different guy.
Yeah, and you're thinking, what's going on? You don't really know what to believe. You do start... I mean, I did start to think immediately, like, oh, he's very good for a man that sells pies.
He did do a really good job. Viggo Mortensen has a kind of mysterious element about him. I know before he got famous doing Lord of the Rings, he did a lot of, like, films where it was kind of crime films and thrillers, and he has a look about him and a sound and a style which is like edgy, I guess. I think he plays a good bad guy. So at the start of the film, when he's playing a good guy, he does a good job of making you think, oh, he's actually a nice guy. Like even in Lord of the Rings, his character is a little suspicious at the beginning, and you think, oh, not really sure who this is. So he does that really well, and then as the film progresses, he does the violent side of him really well. Like he's very intimidating, quite terrifying towards the end.
There's a lot of scenes where I'd say it's quite a slow paced movie.
Yeah,
and but when it does pick up in the fight scenes, it really picks up. There's some serious, gory, bloody violence.
Yeah,
and it's also the look of the movie's quite drab, I would say. Like colour palette wise, there's not a lot of colours.
That was probably one of the things that shocked me the first time I saw the film, was that the title, A History of Violence, you would imagine the film would be a violent film, like a violent film all the way through, I mean. So gun fights or fights.
It is violent from the outset.
Yeah, but it's like you say, it's kind of slow scenes, and then it's like an outburst of violence. Which I suppose kind of feeds into the theme of the movie, which is like it's hiding under the surface.
The only colour in the film, bright colours is blood that I could think of.
Yeah.
Apart from when they're playing baseball and the Suns in the yellow team, but apart from that, there's not a lot of colour. It's really quite a drab movie and quite a
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as a criticism. I just mean
It's like a kind of
he's in small town America and he's living this quiet life and there's not much really happening. He's just selling pies and then he's forced to...
That's the thing. It's like one of those afternoon movies of like family life, America, just regular everyday life.
Yeah.
There's nothing kind of surprising about like even the way it's shot when you first see the Tom Stall scenes. And then that's what makes it more shocking when you see the sudden outbursts of violence, because it just comes really unexpectedly.
Because you're like, oh, that Tom's not like that.
Yeah, but if the whole thing had been shot with the kind of thriller look to it, you would have totally expected it all the way through.
Yeah, to begin with, but we didn't really say that to begin with, but we went into the kind of more main elements of the story. But to begin with, it's just Tom and his family. And it's this kind of idyllic family where they're all very happy together. And he's loved up with his wife. Everything's really good, and you're thinking, oh.
But
it's really a big change when mobsters appear and people try to rob his store, and it's big moments and big violent
outbursts. They bring you in with the family. Tom's wife, played by Maria Bello, she also gave a really good performance. Like, they have a really believable relationship, I think, in the film.
Yeah.
Helped by like a really good script, I think, as well. Like, quite naturalistic, quite relatable. You can totally buy their relationship. It's
just like the way the town looks and the way the house is, it has elements of kind of realism. It doesn't feel like a big Hollywood. It doesn't feel like a plasticky fake setting. It feels quite. But
she was really good, and she goes through like quite a lot of emotion in the film as well when she discovers this secret. It's kind of the secret in the film is not probably something that happens to everybody. It's quite an unbelievable turn of events, but it's relatable in the sense that every family maybe has those secrets and moments where it's like, oh, I'm not sure I know this person, or that kind of thing.
Everybody's got a past.
Yeah. The other two characters in the family, we had Ashton Holmes, who played Jack Stall, and Heidi Hayes, who played Sarah Stall. The young girl doesn't have much to do in the film. She is just the daughter. Just a few lines of dialogue to kind of set up the themes of the movie, really. Yeah. Like at the first scene in the film,
she's a nightmare.
Yeah, and she's saying, oh, there's monsters hiding everywhere, there's monsters in the shadows or something, and it really sets up I did like that about the film, that they did set things up. Like, there's the guy at the beginning saying he used to date someone who used to attack him in the night, just unexpectedly. Like, there's a lot of little hints about what's going to happen before it happens, so it's like, oh. So when you watch it again, you think, like, oh, I see, they're setting that up. And the son, he had more to do in the film. Jack Stall.
Well, I think he had a parallel story with his father, with someone confronting him. They had a bully at school, and you've got Tom Stall's got Carl Fogarty coming into the diner, kind of bullying him in a way, and his son's got the bully at school, and it's how they both deal with it to begin with. They both try to be pacifists and say, we don't want trouble here, and
the thing is, like, trying to restrain yourself or trying to hide your violent nature, the underlying violent nature.
And eventually, like, his son Jack does stand up to the bully, and later on scenes, and you see that parallel with his father. Yeah. Eventually having to stand up to his mob past.
Yeah. I suppose, like, you kind of get the sense that they are father and son. Like, they have the same kind of... Eventually, like, they'll snap and have a kind of violent outburst. So it puts the idea in your head of, oh, that's the family connection there. Ed Harris, who played Carl Fogarty, did great kind of performance of a intimidating guy.
The one thing I would say about that is I don't really think Carl Fogarty is a mobster name. I don't feel threatened by a man called Carl Fogarty. But apart from that, it was a good performance. It's not Ed Harris's fault.
I mean, the look of him is very mobster, with one missing eye. Yeah. And a face that's been torn apart by barbed wire.
He does have that. He looked like
he just has a very calm demeanour, which later on in the film you learn that it was him who actually, like, ripped out his eye with barbed wire. So I'm surprised that he remains so calm when he sees him again.
Well, I think that was his whole thing where he took off his sunglasses. Yeah. But when he first entered, he did look like an FBI agent, or he was auditioning for Men in Black. Yeah. And didn't get the part. Tommy Lee Jones obviously got that. But, yeah, he just took off the glasses and was like, don't you recognise me, Joey? Yeah.
And you got the one missing eye.
Yeah.
Well, kind of one dead eye. And the other main character, William Hurt, who played Rich Cusack, which was Viggo Mortensen's brother. He appears very near the end of the film. But yeah, good performance. Quite a comedic performance, I thought. Like, he has some funny moments. He's in it quite a short time, but
as the climax of the movie, really.
Yeah, he seems. Yeah, he was kind of a comedic character, I thought.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I mean, I suppose there was a lot of laughs out of the deaths of some of the characters.
Yeah,
not all of them. I'm not saying that, but like in certain scenes with when Joey confronts his brother, and he's got hitmen there to get rid of Joey.
Yeah,
it doesn't go well for that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the things about the plot of this movie. Like, it does, like, turn, like, it suddenly turns into almost a different movie. So it starts off, the first scene with the two guys, you think, okay, we're going to be following these two criminals, and it's going to be that kind of movie. And then it cuts to Tom Stoll, and you think, okay, now we're just in a town with his family, and he's just a business owner. Like, you've no idea where it's going. And then I would say, yeah, when he gets attacked and the Car Fogerty stuff is almost like, yeah, that's really throwing you off, because he's saying, no, I'm definitely not this guy, and they're convinced that he is. So all the way through, you're double guessing.
A lot of it is Viggo Mortensen's denial.
Yeah. And then the last scene, yeah, is when it goes full on like a gangster film. Like you would that's the last part is really what I would have expected the whole film to be, given the title, History.
Yeah,
it
wasn't what I expected, because I mean I didn't have a clue what we're going to. Like I'd heard of the movie and I knew David Cronenberg and stuff, but I'd never seen this movie, and yeah, it wasn't what I expected, but it was still a very good movie. That's
the thing. The first time you see it, because there is like the unexpected twist in it, it's kind of interesting to watch the first time, because there is that twist. There was a good soundtrack in the film by Howard Shore. It does sound a lot to me like the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. If
you did say that, yeah.
If you've heard the soundtrack from that film, there's a lot of themes in the film which seem like, yeah, that's almost identical to the music that's used in that film. Not that I'm suggesting Howard Shore reuses his music in his films, but yeah, the soundtrack
the
soundtrack was kind of, I suppose it was quite dramatic.
It was more,
but it was quite mellow.
It was somber.
It
was a somber, mellow soundtrack. Yeah, I think it was, but it worked well within the world of the movie. Yeah,
but I thought like the film overall was really good. I did like the fact that it is an exploration of violence and like humanity, I suppose, and with Viggo Mortensen's character, it's kind of relatable in the sense that, like you say, everybody has a past, and that everyone maybe has underlying violent tendencies that they try to suppress and pretend like they're normal people, but
and they just try to hide parts of their identity from people they love.
Yeah, occasionally you get a kind of outbursts. One of the most affecting parts of the movie, I thought, for me, was the relationship with him and his wife, like when she found out, and I suppose with his family as well. That's the thing, the film works kind of as a family drama rather than your typical crime film. It's more of a family drama where there's a hidden secret and it's revealed, and how do the family cope with that when it's...
I wouldn't say this felt like a mob movie. It didn't feel like Goodfellas or The Godfather or something like that. But it worked really well, and it is based off a graphic novel by John Wagner, who did Judge Dredd.
Yeah,
and you can maybe see similarities with the violent aspects.
That's the thing.
I've not read A History of Violence though, but
no, I haven't read the graphic novel either. But I know a lot of people say that this is like a really good adaptation of it. I think it's very similar to the graphic novel story. It's just some of the names are changed, but the general plot of the novel, I think.
But I think even like some of the scenes and some of the violence, you could trace that back to graphic novel influences.
Yeah,
like they didn't lose that element of really bloody gore and a lot of horrific injuries.
Yeah, there's like a lot of shocking moments in the film, and it's almost because, like we say, because there's time in between it where you're not expecting it. It's almost more shocking, to see him kind of bludgeon someone's nose in, or
there's one of those.
Just blow someone away with a shotgun.
Yeah, there's a lot of really quite gruesome scenes that you're not really expecting at all, but it works really well within the movie. But it's not just all about it doesn't rely on the violence. It still has that good story, and as what's going on with, is he really Joey or is he really Tom? There's moments where you question. You may be leaning one way, but you question it.
It's like the scene when his wife lies for him to the police officer and says, because the police officer is starting to suspect that he really is this gangster, and she says, no, he's obviously not. And then she's really upset by that, but you think like, oh, that's kind of a nice moment in a way. It is followed by an attempted rape scene. But
I don't know. I don't think it was. I don't know. Like
or kind of a very violent scene.
Yeah, I don't think it was rape, but it was an uncomfortable scene because she's had to lie and she's very emotional about it, and rightfully so, because she's just lied to the policeman who she's befriended. She's obviously friends with in that town. And she's had to lie for this guy who she loves, but she doesn't even really know who he is.
Yeah,
but it is a very uncomfortable scene, and I don't mean just because they had sex on the stairs.
Yeah, but the bit like when in the hospital as well, when he reveals it, and she's really upset as well. But that's the thing about this film, is shows you a realistic portrayal of what would happen if somebody was a gangster or was really violent. Like a lot of films in the crime genre, they don't often show you the repercussions of violence or the effect that would have on people around you, whereas this film does, and that's what's moving about it. Like a lot of films would just, people would be getting shot or killed, and like there's no consequences to it. Whereas this film, you see like the personal cost to this guy, and
to his family, and to the town and his life and his livelihood and everything.
They do keep his backstory a mystery, which I kind of liked. Like you learn little bits about his past life, but you never really learn. I mean, you never really learn why he left the family business. I think they hinted it, but it never really explains why he just turned his back on that and
I think it's
wanted to change.
Because he took Carl Fogarty's eye.
Yeah,
and people weren't happy about it.
Well, yeah, maybe he wanted to escape, but he obviously wanted to get out of it. Like he wasn't willing to just like stay and fight his way out. He's like, I want to break.
What I took from it was, if he'd stayed, he would have been killed, because that's what his brother wanted in the end, because of what he'd done, and that's why Carl was after him. That's why his brother was after him. So
that's why he had to get rid of himself, bury himself.
He had to kill Joey.
Yeah,
but it is essentially the whole movie, which I think we both liked. But it is essentially all about Viggo Mortensen's performance and the differences between Tom and Joey, and the similarities between Tom and Joey.
Yeah.
But there's just certain moments you see facially where it's like, oh, that's him turned into Joey. You get that sense, which I think is really impressive, considering that it's just one actor. And
that's the thing. Like when you watch it again, you're thinking like when he sees Carl Fogarty the first time, or when he hears him say Joey. Like, his reactions. You think, oh, does he recognise the name? Well, he obviously recognises the name, but the first time you see it, you might think, maybe he really doesn't know who he's talking about. But then the second time, when he's looking at the news and he's not comfortable with like himself being on the news, maybe it's because he knows they're going to come after him.
Yeah, you can't.
That's why he wants to keep a low profile.
Do you realise that later on? It's not him just being really humble. He's thinking they're going to find me.
Yeah. But a really good movie, and I would highly recommend that you check it out if you get a chance. Yeah,
this is more of like a classic movie, because we haven't really done we've done a couple of retrospectives, but this one was 2005, so that's a long time ago, over a decade ago. But it's a very good movie by a very good director, and some very good performances. And I would totally recommend this if you're ever looking for a DVD to watch.
Yep.
Or a Blu-ray, or download. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can check us out not only on YouTube, but on iTunes and Podomatic.